The gospel reading of today is probably one of the more quoted gospel readings, better known to most as the golden rule. You know, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So we kind of take that for granted, and we consider that to be a rule or a writing that ties us with the other religions of the world. But if we look a little bit carefully at the wording, we see that this actually is, to some extent, a separation between us and other religions. If you look at Judaism in the Talmud, they say something similar. What is hateful to you, do not do unto your fellow man. In Buddhism, you hear, hurt not others in ways that you would find hurtful to you. In Islam, we find, do not wish upon others what you would not wish upon them. The difference is, in the first two, they are a negative statement. So what they say is, don't do what you would not want somebody to do to you. And do not hurt others in a way in which you would want to be hurt. These are negative statements. The statement that Jesus gives us today, the golden rule of Christianity, is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is a positive statement, meaning that it is not enough to look at your neighbor and say, I'm not going to beat you up today. I'm not going to slap you today. I'm not going to take money from you today, because I wouldn't want you to do that to me. That's not what this says. What this says is now you're going to extend yourself further. So what is it that you would wish others to do to you? That they would help you in times of need, that they would offer you more than just a prayer, that they would offer you the support that you need, whether that's financial or whether that's babysitting at a time when you have to get something done, help you to get a job, or just to love you. Those are positive statements, and that's what we have here. So in this gospel reading, we have Jesus points out two things. He points out a human standard, and he points out a divine standard. So he starts off with the human standard. And this is where he says now three things. He talks about comparing now the golden rule to now how sinners behave. So he says, sinners love themselves. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Because even sinners love themselves. Sinners do good unto their friends. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For sinners do the same. And sinners lend to friends. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? Sinners lend unto sinners. So this offers the human standard, because in the human standard, there is the desire for return. All of us in business have heard, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. If I give you this money, you're going to give me the money back. And if I give you this money, here is what you're going to do with it. For those of you that know the show Everybody Loves Raymond, this is exactly what happens when Ray loans money now to his brother. He loans money to his brother because he's going through a difficult time. So Raymond loans him a couple of $1,000s. Then he comes to find out now that his brother has spent the money on a vacation. So Ray's mad. He comes back to his brother. He says, what are you doing? He says, you told me that you were in trouble. You weren't paying bills, this and that. And now I find out that you spent the money on a vacation. And he says, hey, you gave me the money. And at this time, to lower my stress, this is what I needed. And this is very indicative of who we are today. When we give, typically, we have an expectation in return. If I'm giving money to somebody, then I expect them to do something which is what I think they should do with the money. And if I give out a significant amount of money, typically I want that money back. All right, not with interest, but I at least want that money back. So Jesus is pointing out that these are human standards. This is typically what we as human beings expect. And then in the second part of this, he offers up now the divine standard. And he says the very difficult commandment of, but love your enemies. So now he says, not just love your friends. Now he's saying, okay, those who don't like you, those who hate you. And we say it in the liturgy, those who love us and those who hate us, right? So let us now make sure that we offer up what we can do for those we don't like. There are family members we don't necessarily like. There are friends that we don't necessarily like. Unless they are corrosive to our spirituality, meaning that they are a stumbling block for us, then these are the people that we need to help. And then he says, secondly, do good. So this is a positive statement. This is not just don't do bad. This is do something positive. That means in your life, you have to figure out what that is. What good am I going to do? Those people that say, I pray for the whole world. Well, that's nice. I got no problem with that. But Jesus Christ now says, do good. He doesn't say pray good. He doesn't say think good. He says do good. So each one of us has to come up with what good are we going to do in this world? We've got to figure that out. Whether you donate to the breast cancer awareness, whether you donate to the church, whether you donate to the people on the street, but you have to now do good. This is a commandment. And then he says, and hope for nothing in return. Because the gift, the reward that he talks about at the end is the reward that will come then later. And this is very difficult because it takes us beyond the human standard. Where we see this many times is we see this in church. Okay? All of us, most of us, have gone through this. Including, priests, I'm sure that we go through this too, is you support your church, you do the good things in your church, and then after years of doing that, you never hear anybody say, thank you, I really appreciate the good work that you did. No, what you hear many times is, yeah, but here is how you should do it. Na supo kati, right? That is the famous Greek saying. It's almost never, thank you, that, you tried, this was what you wanted. No, let me show you how we do this here. And so people get burned out by this. And so because there is an expectation that we have in terms of how we're going to see what it is that they do for us, is they have not done it in the way that we thought. And this speaks now to what Jesus also says. So sometimes we have to be very careful about that as we bring now new people into the activities that we do, whether that's the festival, whether that's helping in churches chanting, whether that's working back at the narthex, being a greeter, whatever that is, each person has an individual way in which they think it should be done. And as long as it's within the area, we just leave it alone. I mean, I know that I've suffered with that over the years because, I can be very anally retentive sometimes about some things. I want it done exactly this way. I think I got that from my father. All right. Sorry, Mom. Just saying. But he would be that way. This is the way that it has to be done. And many times that drew me away from him because he did not respect the ideas that I had. So this is part of what's in this gospel reading today. So I just wanted to bring those points out that we are called now to a higher standard. We are no longer called to a human standard. We are called now to a divine standard. And this is why Jesus Christ says, and do this and you will be considered sons of the Most High, equating to be then Christ-like.